What's up, guys? I've got a little quick take for you here on the DJI Focus Pro system. I recently rented this system from the good folks over at Lens Rentals, and I wanted to do some testing before using it on any professional gigs. After a couple days working with it and some time kind of noodling and learning the ins and outs of it, I learned some tricks and some tips, and I wanted to share that with you guys to help you get up and running with this system and not deal with any of the pitfalls that I ran into. So let's get into it. The Focus Pro system comes with the LiDAR camera, shoots little lasers out, and when those lasers hit an object, the system is able to measure the distance from that point back to the camera. It also comes with this controller hand unit, which you're going to need like a NATO rail system to mount onto, and also a motor and a 15mm rod to attach the motor to. It's a fairly compact system, not too many pieces, and it's quite lightweight. It's not really going to add much weight to your overall camera system. The grip is really nice, I gotta say. So the first important thing is going to be the mounting of the LiDAR unit. You can see that I've got it sort of jerry-rigged here onto the lens. I'm actually just using some double-sided tape, which for a quick and dirty setup, I found to work pretty well. But if you're going to be doing some hardcore run and gun work and really throwing your camera around or having it on a gimbal, you're going to want to use a sturdier mounting system. The problem, though, is that the tools that DJI gives you to mount the LiDAR, there's like a cold shoe mount attachment. You can also use a quarter or a 3/8 threaded screw attachment. But I found that mounting this using those tools, I could never get the LiDAR unit close enough to the front of the lens. And that's the most important thing. You need it to be as close to the front of the lens and centered and in line with the lens, not off to the side or too far above or below. That's not the easiest thing to do when you're mounting it on top of, say, like the cold shoe mount on a mirrorless camera. I do wish there were some better mounting options. I think there are some folks out there who are kind of coming up with their own setups, but I do hope that there will be some better mounting accessories and lens attachments for the LiDAR unit in the future. The next most important thing is to really calibrate the lens correctly. You're going to go into the menu system on the controller unit. It's got a nice screen where you can actually see what the LiDAR is seeing. And I'm not going to go into the whole setup process, but you do want to take some time to do it properly. It's not super complicated once you get the hang of it. You can program in multiple lenses into different profiles. So when you swap them out, you can just select that lens and you don't have to recalibrate it every time. But you are going to want to be precise in terms of getting the correct measurements to link the LiDAR system to the actual focus range of your lens. And you also are going to need to be able to measure the distance between the front of the LiDAR and to your camera's sensor. So it's important to know where your camera's sensor marker is. Now, I've also found that this tends to work better with lenses that are a little bit tighter field of view. So wider lenses are going to be a bit difficult to work with because basically the field of view of the LiDAR unit, you want that field of view to be either equal to or wider than the field of view of your lens. If your lens's field of view is wider than that of the LiDAR, then you might be, pointing your camera towards something, but the LiDAR can't actually see it, and so it's not going to be able to focus on it. So I've found I'm using it right now with a 45mm anamorphic lens. I think that's a pretty good sweet spot, like above 35 or 40 millimeters. You don't have to get super, super tight, but like wider than 24 millimeters seems really difficult for the LiDAR to get everything within the field of view that such a wide lens would capture. I was actually getting really frustrated with it because I was using too wide of a lens and I just could not get it to focus properly. I've also found that with macro lenses, it doesn't seem to be the best. Objects that are super close to the lens, they weren't in frame and it was really struggling to capture them. So I wouldn't recommend using it with macro lenses. Now, in terms of the tracking capabilities, I do have to say that the technology that DJI is working with has really advanced. They've made some great advancements since I first tested the system on the RS3 Pro gimbal. The system works best with people, like face tracking, head tracking, back of head, full body. It does a really good job with people and face tracking, and even some object tracking. I was actually able to use it to track a car. It doesn't seem like it has much in terms of like animal tracking, but I'm sure that DJI will continue to improve the system, and over the past year it has gotten really quite good. But you should keep in mind that, like with other autofocus systems, it's going to fall into the same, traps. So multiple people, if you're filming like an event and you've got a crowd, the system is just going to totally freak out and not know what to focus on. So you're going to want to switch over to manual focus mode and just use the wheel to adjust focus. If you've used like the tilt-a-nucleus system, it's very similar to that. It's just so much easier to focus by using your finger like that than your entire hand and trying to get smooth focus pulls that way. Last thing to keep in mind, guys, is that the battery life on the controller unit here is about 2 to 2.5 hours if you're using it to power the motor and the LiDAR. If you're not using the LiDAR and you're only using it to power the motor, you're probably going to get about 2 to 3 times the battery on that. It'll last much longer. But if you are using the whole system with the LiDAR, you're going to need probably like 2 or 3 of these battery units for like a full day shoot. Depending on the shoot, I could definitely see this system being useful, particularly if I am moving around a lot or my subject is moving around a lot and I want to be able to use nice manual focus cinema glass and not have to be so concerned about having to manually focus my lens. The system really works great as long as you're just kind of focusing on 1 or 2 subjects. I think it's going to be a pretty reliable system. All right, guys, so that is my hot take on the DJI Focus Pro. Let me know what you thought about this video in the comments below. I'd really appreciate it if you'd like and subscribe to the channel. I'll see you in the next video.